Yeah, so on the Square Enix like thing, I was in an Uber on the way home from work on Monday with my coworker because again, like we were like pretty far up at the end of the city, which for him, that'd be a 2.5 hour walk, and from my apartment, it's like a 20-minute walk for him. So I was like, fuck it, just get in the Uber with me, and then you have less of a walk. And he was like, he pulls up his phone and he shows this to me about them being like, oh, we're gonna go multi-platform. And as you said, there's nothing really that they can do because they've signed agreements.
Yeah.
So unless they want to pay to break it,
They're not going to do that.
they're kind of screwed.
And it's my understanding, as it's been reported, of course, nobody ever knows, but the reports say that the Final Fantasy VII trilogy has already been signed off on, that those are set in stone. So it's like, what are you going multi-platform with? Crystal Chronicles? Like, what else are you? I mean, I know Final Fantasy has other franchises, but you know, they sold off like, I don't think they have like a major thing in development besides the next Final Fantasy, right? Like that's their next big project.
Yeah.
So it really feels like posturing for investors. You know, it's like, I don't think we will see, another way of putting it is I don't think we will see the fruit of this shift until years down the road. So like, what does that help you now? What does that do now? It doesn't do anything today. That doesn't help anyone. For people who are like, you know, if you're you know, an Xbox fan or a PC fan, you're like, yay. It's like, you're not going to see any of this shit for like 3 years. What are you cheering over? Like, it's not happening. I think PC ports will come. Like maybe next year we'll get 16, and maybe the year after that we get Rebirth. It's still years down the line, you know. So I don't know.
I mean, what did they have that came out? Like, what did they release the previous year to actually have made them drop? Because if they just didn't have games, like they have games, but if they didn't have any, if they had like a huge game that just did numbers,
Dragon Quest and stuff like that. That's
drop in the hat for me. Re-release Sleeping Dogs again. Give us a PS5 version.
I think they actually might do that one day. They might remaster that.
I mean, they did it for PS4 already, right? But
they might do it again.
Yeah, do it again. I'll buy it. Fuck. Give me more weight shit.
Maybe Forspoken did way bigger numbers than we thought. And
I'm trying to open a Wikipedia list of Square Enix games, and it's not opening. Maybe I'm having internet issues. It didn't say I am, but maybe I am.
Yeah. So they had in 2023 they had Star Ocean, Forspoken, Final Fantasy 16, Octopath Traveler 2, Tomb Raider.
And that's their other thing is the other thing that they said, and they said that way before this dip, was that they were not going to be making as many smaller games, and that's what everybody's doing. And Dev, I give you the most credit about this. We've been covering for 2 years this mass exodus of talent in the games industry. And we kept saying, like, what does this mean? And you nailed it on the head. It means less games. There's less teams in development. It means less games. We're either going to get smaller games, and it doesn't look like anybody wants to do that because they just don't make enough off them. So what we're going to get is less big games. Just get big games, but less of them, and less little games in between. So, Yarden, I don't think they're going to renegotiate out of this. Like, one, they're bleeding money. They lost 70%, so they probably don't want to pay that. Two, why would PlayStation let them out of it?
Right.
Like that's they're not going to do that. Like, oh, sorry, you're not selling as much. Never mind. We don't want to do this anymore. They're going to do that. So I don't think that's going to happen.
Yeah, that's always.
Tell me I'm wrong when I'm wrong, but I don't think so. I saw when this happened, there were all kinds of people, like all kinds of, you know, impressions and Reddit and replies, and you know, they're like, oh my god, we're gonna you're not getting any games anytime soon. So I don't see what all the excitement's about.
To answer your question, Captain Awesome, it did not flop.
No, we had a good conversation about that, me and Dev, and I brought that up.
Mm-hmm.
By all accounts, the Final Fantasy numbers are actually kind of what's profiting them up.
Yes.
It would have been way worse without them. Now, Rebirth is not doing what 7 did. 7 also launched on a console that had more people either buying games and more consoles.
Also,
so they're not apples to apples, right?
It's also that common point of, hey, we're the middle part of a trilogy. Like,
true.
So, like,
true. But Rebirth did well. It sold well. There's not like that. Nobody has disclosed numbers, but it's sold pretty well. And by sold pretty well, I did go and look at like all-time bestsellers because Dev kept asking questions like, what does that mean? I think what that means is like their top 15 is like essentially like over 5 million. And for like the main Final Fantasy games, I think their good number is like around 8 million, which kind of puts you in the top 10. And I think that's what they're like. That's a good number for them. And I don't think Rebirth is there yet, but I think it's on track to get there.
It is. But also, again, like this is you're right, Donnie, that this point needs to drop. But I am going to bring it up again. Square always has like extremely high expectations. It's not.
Yeah, that's been a constant take since Tomb Raider, and I just don't think that applies to every game and every year.
No, but also again to like make my point there, Tomb Raider. We expect this game to sell 5 million copies. That's never been.
And Tomb Raider sold like 12.
I know it did, but
so Tomb Raider did get there. It just didn't get there at launch, and it didn't get there at full price.
Yeah.
Well, it didn't get there. It didn't get there at full price. That's another thing. When Square says it missed the mark, and people go, it sold X amount, but at what price? Did it sell that on sale for $14 or a trilogy or $20, or did it sell it at $60? There's a huge difference in revenue for them.
It sure is. Yeah.
Yeah. A lot of times when game companies talk about their game sales, they mean like their first 3 months sales. It doesn't mean as much to them when the game goes on sale for $30 because they're losing 30% of $30. Right. They're wanting to know full price, early adopter sales. That's their money. That's their nut.
Yeah. They need that because it's going to recoup the cost of making the game and also help fund the other games that are in development.
Yep.
That's why it's always so important for them to sell in the beginning when it first launches.
A point that I heard Jeff and Mikey talking about this week, and it's something that I think it bears repeating because I honestly don't think in all of my years of following game coverage I've ever really heard anybody talk about it. Breaking even leads to studios being shut down.
Yep.
Like if Hi-Fi Rush breaks even, Microsoft wonders why it's not good enough just to make your money back.
Yep.
You have to make your money back and fund your next game and profit.
Exactly.
If you're just making your money back, then why are we doing it? Like if you're at a corporate level and you're looking at it, that's how you're thinking to yourself. Now, there are some studios that I do think are beloved in projects where they're like, we're doing it because it helps the ecosystem, right? But Microsoft's ecosystem is falling apart. So if the games aren't making money, the question then becomes for the corporate level, why are we making those games? You have to do more than just make your money back or be a little bit profitable. Again, that doesn't help you make your next game. If you work for 6 years on a game and it releases and all you do is recoup your cost in a little bit, that doesn't help fund the next game.
Not at all. It's just
so essentially the company's just floating you until they take a loss.
Yep.
Right. And that's how studios get closed. And I don't think, again, the Twitter sphere, which I hate bringing up because I keep talking about, we got to quit talking about idiot people on the internet. I bring this up because I think it's an educational point. When people talk about faceless, nameless corporate greed being the bastion of everything wrong with the video game business, like nobody's talking about that. Nobody's talking about how like Prey never made money. It's a great game. Everybody loves it. And it never made money. Nobody's talking about how Arcane Austin hasn't made money for like a decade. You know, they're just talking about how terrible Xbox is and corporate greed killing the industry. And it's like, no, two things can be true at the same time. You can not like what Xbox is doing, but it also might be, you know, financially makes sense. I'm still pissed they closed Tango because I think Tango, and that's where, you know, my emotions get the better part of me because I look at Tango as being one of those. No, you keep them around because it's good for the ecosystem. I don't give a shit if they take a loss. You keep them around because they're creative, because they have the ability to hit. They have the ability to reach out. I don't know if Arcane Austin did. I don't think so. And the reason, it's not because I don't believe in Arcane Austin. It's because I think you have other developers, namely Arcane Leon, that's doing what Arcane Austin does. Like they also can just do that now. Like they could just be them. Right. So, but there is no other Tango. You don't have a Tango. Like they brought you an intangible something to your studio or development, a diversity. They offered something you don't have and can't replicate and can't buy. There is no other
what you were looking for in the first damn place.
There is no Ghostwire Tokyo. You can't buy it. There's nobody else making it. Ghostwire Tokyo is so fucking Tango.
The weird thing about Arcane Austin not making money though is like they also worked like on Dishonored 1 and 2. And So,
but you have people that can make Dishonored. Is ultimately the bigger point, right? Yeah. It's not like you close Arcade Austin, you can't make Dishonored anymore. No, you still have people that make Dishonored.
Yep.
You close Tango. How do you make another Hi-Fi Rush?
How do you make another Evil Within?
How do you? Who does it? And how would you do it? And would it be good? It's like there is an invaluable. And I think PlayStation and Nintendo do a better job at this than Xbox. And I think that's why people are really upset. Yep. Yeah, because in PlayStation, it hurt when PlayStation closed Studio Japan. I didn't like that. It's a part of like their character as a business. Like it's a part of their portfolio. Whether it does good or not, it's kind of not the point. It's a part of their ecosystem, right? Nintendo makes how many Kirby games? I guarantee you they all don't make money. Guess what? It doesn't matter because it's a part of the ecosystem. It helps the system. It helps the platform. It's filler, right? So I don't necessarily think, and maybe it's just because Xbox, the position that they're in right now, they're not in a position to take advantage of that. But I think they're selling themselves. They're cutting off their nose to spite their face. They're making these decisions today, not realizing these decisions are going to hurt them 3 years, 5 years, 10 years from now. So we'll see. Anyway, moving on. Game Pass news. Lots of good Game Pass titles actually were announced. Brother: A Tale of Two Sons, Chance of Sonar, which is one I've been wanting to play. NHL 2024 comes to EA Play. So does Immortals of Avium. Finally, after all of this waiting, I can finally play it. And guess what? I'm not going to, because I got Paper Mario and Hellblade. So it continues to go on the back burner.
But it's a good game, and Donnie will absolutely.
I'm looking forward to playing it. They should have put this damn thing in Game Pass or EA from the start. Hellblade comes out May 21st. Galacticare, Haunty, moving out to Humanity, which I've pre-installed. I definitely want to try that one.
On the Hellblade news, if people didn't know, it is now in reviewers' hands. Embargo is Monday night.
That's true. I know somebody that's got it. So Lords of the Fallen comes out May 30th. Firework comes out June 4th, and Rolling Hills comes out June 4th as well. So good games coming to Game Pass. In headlines, Ubisoft canceled The Division Homeland. They have a quote about it. I'm not even going to read it because I'm trying to speed everything up. That kind of blows my mind. I know I saw people in Discord, they were like, yeah, I saw that. I played this game. Like it was very playable when I played it. To me, my take on it, my read on it was, I think this says more about like how the free-to-play live service market has changed than it does the game itself. Because I played the game and the game was very playable and good, and I think people would have liked it.
I will point out that I follow quite a few people who do like playtests, and one of them was like, well, I assume my NDA expired since this game is now canceled.
Yeah, I don't even care about mine. Yeah, they canceled it, so I don't even give a fuck now.
Yeah, literally. They were like, well, my feedback was, what the fuck is this? So I guess they took my advice. And,
I mean, I wanted to love it because there's so much about the Division, the franchise, I wanted to like.
Mm-hmm.
But again, like so many things, I'm just not into these multiplayer live service. Yeah, it's not my thing.
Shooter,
but I liked what I played, and more importantly, what I played was good. It wasn't Redfall. It was good. So I was surprised to see them cancel. It's been it's like what I played was pretty polished. Like it was nice.
They're putting their money in X Defiant. That's basically what it boils down to.
Which,
they have more
by
faith
the way,
in X Defiant.
I have played X Defiant. That game is not fun. So good luck.
The thing is, if they're looking for that arena shooter that's going to bring people in, I think X Defiant is what they're actually trying to get in.
But they already have an arena shooter in Rainbow Six.
Yeah, and the teams that were working on Heartland are working on Rainbow Six and X Defiant. Yeah. Those are the ones they believe in.
Like I said, I think it has a lot to do with the market has kind of turned away a lot of these free-to-play service games, and I think they just didn't want to have to shut another one down. Anyway, moving on. PPSSPP hit iOS today, and I put it on my iPad, and it's awesome. So if you want to play PSP games on your phone or your iPad, you can do that now. According to Windows Central and Eurogamer, Xbox is working on what is being codenamed Latitude, which is their plan to bring more Xbox games to rival platforms. Privately, it's been reported via Jez Corden, Microsoft is reportedly pushing for a, quote, no red line at all, which around which Xbox games can come to other platforms and which can't. Not just PlayStation, but Nintendo too, in a bid to increase margins. we've got questions about Xbox, so I'd like to save reactions to this then because I'm trying to get there before Dev has to pop out. Yep. But I do want to make one point, and it's kind of like I told you so point, but it's not necessarily to be a gloat. I just wanted to point out that when the multi-platform thing happened, and we had that fucking couch thing where they talked about it, right? The entire internet, like the gaming internet, did the whole, even in our own Discord. And if you're one of these people, I'm not throwing shots at you. It was the common take at the time. Oh, this isn't a big deal. No news. This isn't even a thing. Why was everybody making a big deal of it? And I came to our podcast and I said, this is huge news.
Yep.
Like, I don't know why everybody's throwing this away. This is gigantic news. This is a seismic shift in the company. And here we are mere weeks from that with reports they're about to bring a lot more. And I believe them. Maybe this turns out to be false, but I don't think it is.
I don't think it is either. But also,
I believe them.
I do want to point out, just quickly here, casual reminder. Hey, Donnie, you might remember this. What's the rumor on a Starfield release for PS5? Do you remember the month that was listed? Because I do. Would you like to know? I find this news very interesting right before the showcase. Rumor was a November 2024 PS5 release date.
Yeah, I believe it.
Maybe. Here's what's even better. Shattered Space is coming out, and the rumored release of Starfield on PS5 included Shattered Space.
There you go. I believe it.
Yeah.
What did we talk? Dev, you were there. I said I would expect all Bethesda games, all like anything outside of maybe their core platforms, like their core pillars. Maybe those are the only ones that don't go. And at this point, I think they'll probably go to. I think they should all go. At this point, I think they should all go. But let's put a pin on that. Rockstar has begun adding Red Dead related promotion text to the Rockstar launcher, suggesting that Red Dead Redemption might finally, after all these years, come to PC.
My fucking mind.
It's never been on PC. It's never been on PC. So Red Dead Redemption might finally be coming. And as I mentioned in the chat, I am fucking the reason that they do this. Rockstar hates PC players, and I'm one of them, because I absolutely will probably stop everything I'm doing to buy and play Red Dead Redemption again.
I know damn well the minute that releases on PC, whatever the hell you're playing is just
well, we're playing Red Dead Redemption on PC again. Some leakers say Capcom has turned its remake business to the original Resident Evil. So there have been rumors a long time as to what would be the next game. Would it be Resident Evil 5? Might it be Veronica? It sounds like they're going to remake the original Resident Evil game.
I thought they did that already.
They did. That's the point. Although
right, but like GameCube, not like modern remake standards, right?
They did it for
No,
PS4.
I thought they did the modern remake. I didn't know.
Oh, did they?
Remake
Did I just forgotten about it? You might be right.
No. They remade it again in the original GameCube style for PS4.
Yeah. No, they up-res. That's what I meant. It's the GameCube version, not RE remake, not RE2 remake, not RE4 remake. Yeah.
So that's the thing. I know.
Yeah, they're going to bring it to modern remake standards.
To the modern remake standards.
RE Engine remake is what I'm thinking for. That's what I'm thinking.
The thing, though, you don't make the fucking tease that you made at the end of RE4 remake and then go back to 1. What are you fucking doing?
D-Life, I'm going to come back to this as soon as we get to the questions about Xbox.
Like,
Dev, take away Rude Days. I'm trying to get you there. I got 30 minutes with you, so let's get to move on.
You got an hour, 9:30.
Oh, I thought you said 12. I thought you said 12. Like it'd be 12 my time. I thought it was midnight my time.
No, he said 12.
Oh, fuck, never mind. I'm here just running through shit. Never mind. Okay, well, stick with us. We'll get to the Xbox thing in a minute. Never mind.
Before we move on, I'm not going to spoil RE4 remake for people, but like they explicitly at the end of that game make the fucking Wesker tease for not only Code Veronica, but also 5, and then you're going to turn around and fucking
I don't think they want to touch. I don't think they want to touch 5. I would openly welcome them to remake 6 because I know everybody hated it and I never played it back in the day, but then I played it on Switch and I was like, yo, this is actually kind of cool. So I would love to replay 6.
If they remake 6, just pick one of the 4 protagonists.
I could see that, yeah.
Have them intertwine in
I could see a remake of 6 where they fix 6 and it's awesome because it's kind of cool.
But also, again, in 6, we don't need to fight a fucking dinosaur that has nothing to do with the T-virus.
That's fucking Resident Evil. That's what we do. It's Resident Evil. It's a stupid game. So
I was gonna say, just
It's 100%.
sounds like it makes sense to me.
Yeah.
It's Resident Evil. If it doesn't make sense, it belongs there.
And speaking of Resident Evil, just in general rumors, there are lots of rumors about what Resident Evil 9 might be. And it seems like it's slated for next year. And I'm not saying it's going to be the PlayStation Showcase, but I am saying if I see that logo pop up, I am not going to be surprised at PlayStation Showcase.
100%.
If it's going to be announced, that's where it would probably show up. It's probably, if it's next year, it's probably more of a Game Awards thing, but you never know.
I also want to point out, I've seen people go, is it going to be third person? Is it going to be first person? I think they're going to go back to third person based on how the DLC for 8 was made. So,
and the rumor suggests it's like open world.
Yes. Yeah. Rumors do suggest that it is open world. Right. I do also want to point out the Ethan Winters story is over. So it will not be Ethan again.
Rude Days. Nobody gives a shit about Ethan. Give a shit about Rude Days. One of the 7.
What the fuck is Ethan?
Rude Days.
Who's Ethan? Yeah.
A terrible protagonist. That's who.
That's what I hear. So Rude Day says, I've returned, and per Delvin's request, the point will count from 2 weeks ago, but the mid-season tourney champ will still be crowned since we all hate it so much.
Oh, he means like mid-season, like mid-year. I just thought he meant this season was mid.
No. So the scenarios for week 2 of the PSVG mid-season tournament are over or under of 80.5, assuming it gets a score for the re-release of Multiverses.
Do you think people rescore it?
I don't know. The original, when it came out in its pre-release fashion, they got an 80 in its beta release.
Well, I'll take the over. It's got to be better than the first release. What would be the point of pulling it back?
Yeah.
Could you imagine they pull it back, they make change, and it's worse?
It wouldn't shock me. That's possible, you know? Like, we've done this already. We already had this. It's not
any different. Why did they take it away? Okay, good point. Yeah, good case.
But
nice. I'll take the over.
I'm still going with the over. I feel like they had something there, and they're gonna make it better. So
even if it's like an 81.
Yep. What about you, Haley? Over 80.5 for Multiverses?
You're picking for Delvin, so take the opposite.
I'll go under.
Okay. Now this is the one right here. Over or under 78.5 for Destiny 2: The Final Shape. The last expansion, Lightfall, received a 69.
Nice.
Before
I remember
that,
everybody hated that damn thing. I remember that.
Before that, the Witch Queen expansion got an 86, and then before that, Beyond Light got a 73.
I'm going way over.
Way over. Yeah. Man, this is tough. This is real tough. Destiny's kind of having like a little resurgence. They've done a lot of stuff.
Yeah.
They gave away all of the expansions currently to anybody who doesn't own them. So
they're free.
I've just seen them.
They're free up until the expansion comes out. You don't have access to them eternally.
Yeah, I've just seen a lot of enthusiasm for Destiny lately. And I think they want to end on a high note, and I think they're probably putting as much effort as they can into it. And I'm just taking the vibes here. I'm rooting for hope.
78.5 is difficult because I feel like most Destiny stuff sits at 78. Like when it's that's like the barometer. So fuck you, Rude Days, for always having like the numbers just way too close.
Line maker, yeah.
Yeah, he's really good at that. God, everything for this looks good. We're getting a new subclass where it mixes all the subclasses. The story actually looks really good, and everything leading up to it has been very positive. I haven't touched it. I haven't jumped in, but I know Barrett has. He's really enjoyed it.
They even brought back Nathan Fillion. So
Yep. Which is interesting because Cade 6, the last time we saw him, was not voiced by Nathan Fillion.
It's Nolan. It was
Nolan North.
Yeah.
But I'm gonna go with the over just because I want it to be good.
I'm gonna go with over as well.
All right. Well, there's your Rude Day segment. Rude Days, you continue to wonder and amaze us with your propensity to get it right on the line every single fucking time. I don't know how you do it, but you should go to Vegas and make lots of money for yourself. All right, moving on to questions. First up, we have from Josh. He says, I have a question. As a dedicated Xbox fan since the inception of Xbox, can you make me feel better about the state of Xbox? What do I have to look forward to that I cannot get elsewhere?
Well, Josh, you can look forward to getting your favorite Xbox games on the things that you have elsewhere. And that's possibly the best thing you can look forward to. And at this point, I will address D-Life's comment. He says, I think Xbox and PC will still have timed exclusivity on those games. I think what he meant was the very core Xbox games. I was talking about Gears, Forza, things we're talking about, Fable. Not that I really care. Release every game everywhere and let people play on their platform of choice. So, and this is kind of the through line that I've been making on this topic the whole time, or the whole podcast tonight. I think more or less what I've realized, not that it's like an epiphany or anything, is that for the last 20 years or so, the console gaming business has been more than lucrative for three people to exist in it. Regardless of who was at the top and who was at the bottom, there was enough of the pie to go around that three people could exist.
Yep.
And there still was, up until the point the development costs started to balloon. And now it's eating all of that up. And now you have whoever's in third place, which right now is Xbox, and they are in a distant third place. Their ecosystem is not generating enough revenue to coexist like it used to warrant the development costs, especially as they've grown in their development case. And this is the point that I was making all those many months ago from the multi-platform announcement. I am not against Xbox putting Gears on PlayStation. But as I said, it comes at a cost. And the cost is their ecosystem. They have to make a sacrifice. And that's my concern. My concern with Xbox, and I got a chance to talk a nice chat with Sean on Sweet Hangs about this very thing. My concern is that they're doing a little bit of everything instead of going all in on something. And I don't think you can do that, because what that does is it sows doubt in your customer base and the people that would buy something. And again, it's not just a console war of like, why would I buy this box if I can play it? It's not that. That's not really that big of a deal, because I think most people don't care. I was thinking about this earlier. I was reflecting this earlier when it was Barrett or John or
Stingray. It was Barrett. It was Barrett asking
Barrett
questions.
was talking about 360 games, and he was like,
Yep.
"So what should I buy?" And I was like, it took me a long time to realize this, because I was never in the PC gaming space. But my 360 really was just like a console TV box into what was going on in PC land. Yep. Right? I never really cared about exclusives or anything until I started really following video game podcasts and started following video game journalism. Like, I think most gamers don't give a shit. Most gamers just play a couple games, but you can't release all of your games everywhere and sell hardware and sell a native handheld and have you're spreading yourself too thin, so you're never going to have a dedicated business. And I don't think the sum of all those parts equal one big dedicated business. And this was the ultimate point that I made back then when that announcement happened. I was like, so they should just go third party then, because this have your cake and eat it too is worse. You're going to do worse because you're going to alienate your own supporters while you try to chase other supporters, right? Yep. So maybe there's a big enough pie out there for you to make up for them, but I don't think so. Sony has 55 million consoles. Do you think all of those people want to play Gears of War? No. There's only like 20% of Xbox players play Gears of War, right? So like, if you find other players, are you losing players to find new players, right? Like, what's the net neutral here? To me, it makes a lot more sense. If this is where Xbox wants to go, okay, then rip off the Band-Aid. But again, they don't want to. They want the 30% from the ecosystem. They want their hardware, right? We talked about it last week. How can you have a dedicated handheld and a console? What are the developers developing for? You can't just say it'll run on both. You can't do that, right? It's not that easy.
They make already seen problems with that with the S.
You can't release fucking games on time now. Starfield just got a 60 FPS update. We were told it wasn't possible. It was in scope. It's totally possible. Game looks great. Never been a better time to play it. It's like, you can't do this shit now, and you're talking about adding more ecosystems and doing other like this. Doesn't just go third party. And here's the thing. if they stepped out of the console race and out of the console war, I think more people would be open. Gears may be better than ever. Forza might be better. Like those games might take off if they just stepped out of that console space.
Yep.
And you want as many people playing Halo as possible. Halo might fucking go bananas.
Again, I think what you are talking about, them stepping out, I think it's going to happen. I think they're just.
I do too. Well, here's the thing. I think they're going to try to have their cake and eat it too, and that's the thing that I don't like, because I want them to have vision and conviction. Tell me what you're going to do and do that. Tell me you're going third party because it makes more sense for you. What I think they're going to do is I think they're going to hang on to this dying console market until it's all completely dead, and then change Game Pass and then go third party. As opposed to what I feel like would be a more positive change in a position of strength to come out and go, we no longer see a need for the Xbox console to exist in this space. What we want to do, like if it were me in a perfect world, if it were me, I think Xbox should design a handheld, go all in on targeting that handheld, be the most technologically advanced handheld you can, right? Then bring their games to consoles, Switch and PlayStation. And they say, hey, we're all in on this handheld thing. But if you want to play our games, we have them on console. A console you probably already have. And if you already want to play, we have them on PC. And then I think ultimately, like big picture, pie in the sky, down the road, if this is in fact the path they're going, as has been reported, has been rumored, as it looks like it is. I'm not saying it is. I'm just saying as it looks like it is. I think the ultimate play to cut cost, to rein in Game Pass so it's not an albatross, it makes money as opposed to what it's doing, is I think you cut out second and third party. You go 100% first party Game Pass, and then you put Game Pass on as many consoles and different things as you can.
Yep. And
I think that's the path we're heading on. I just wish they said that was the path and then did that, as opposed to we're going to have the next console and it's going to be a generate. Because again, as I talk to Sean, I hate reiterating it. That's just, I know I talk about multiple different points. So if our listeners have heard me say it multiple times, I apologize. If you start doing, I'm going to do a little bit here and I'm going to do a little bit here and I'm going to do a little bit there. Like my point to Sean was, how could anybody, myself included, Xbox 360 guy, Xbox One guy, like I love the Xbox. Is it my preferred console? I could not recommend anybody buying an Xbox for the next box. How could you? If Gears is coming to PlayStation, if Hellblade's coming to play, if Starfield's coming to play, if all these fucking things are coming to PlayStation, why would you buy the box? It'd have to be a really great box. Like that's the only reason. And it's like, but the PlayStation is also a really great box, and the PC is also a really great box. And maybe they're going to bring their games to Switch. It's like you're running out of reasons. So just do everybody a solid, everybody a favor, and be consistent and clear with your strategy, not just your messaging. You give a shit about what they tell us. Your strategy, where you're going, where you're putting your money. Like I think we believe the games are the most important part of this business. And we are dedicated to making the best video games, being the best publisher in this market, and bringing a service like Game Pass to as many platforms as possible. That's a message I think most gamers can rally behind.
100%.
PlayStation, it doesn't matter. Everybody can get behind something like that. Sounds great. Do that.
Here's the thing, too. I've seen it mentioned a bunch. Like, well, Sony will never allow Game Pass. No, Sony will never allow Game Pass in its current form.
Yeah. They can't. If it was first party, they couldn't deny it.
If it was first party only, Sony's like, yeah, sign us up right now.
Yeah,
like,
you're gonna take 30% of that.
Instantly.
You're gonna sell the games both ways. It's gonna have Game Pass. You could have Game Pass on Switch, on PlayStation, on PC, on VR. You could have Game Pass everywhere. On Netflix, you could do a lot.
And at that point, I even think Steam would integrate it into the Steam app.
That's
like,
where that's like the
all right,
the Game Pass vision for me has always been, I want it's the cheap access to games. 12-year-old me would have killed for Game Pass, would have died for a service like this, as opposed to trying to find money to buy every single game I wanted to play, right? And I think reaching more people with that is a a Microsoft like a banner to carry. Like that's something that Microsoft can push forward and be great at. But right now, their old business and their future business are not the same. They're different, and those conflicts, I think, is tearing them apart from within. You know, and the thing that I said to Sean, I think I probably said on the show, and I'd be interested to hear what you guys think. There's a lot of people out there saying Game Pass is not sustainable, that you can't make your money doing this. The games cost too much to make, and I disagree. If they raise the price of Game Pass, which I think they will, especially with Call of Duty coming in, if they raise it to $20 a month, which is where I think they're going with it, and they sell it to 50 million people, that's $1 billion a month. You mean to tell me if they bring in $12 billion in Game Pass revenue, they can't build big games? They can. They totally can. The issue, as I see it, isn't that it's not sustainable. The issue with Game Pass is that Halo Infinite wasn't Halo 3, and Starfield isn't Skyrim. Nobody wants to subscribe. You're not driving subscriptions. You don't have the game that's penetrating the gamer sphere. You know, like people aren't signing up to play Hellblade. As much as I want it to be great, and I hope it is, they're not doing it. They're not making that game. If they made those games, Game Pass would be wildly successful.
Yeah.
But they haven't made that game in like 8 years. Like it's been a long time, and everything is constantly delayed and releasing broken or releasing bad or better 3 years later. That's the problem. It's not Game Pass. The model isn't the problem. It's the execution. And Josh, I hope this doesn't, I don't want this to sound, I think it's going to be sad to see, like, if the Xbox brand goes away, it will be sad. I will miss the hardware. I hope they continue to make hardware. Like, I would love, if they go third party, make me an Xbox controller I can use on my PlayStation. Like, do that. Like, still keep being Xbox. There are other ways to be Xbox. But it may go away. But I also think the Xbox brand, right? Quit thinking about consoles. The Xbox brand might be better than ever if it went third party. Because I think instead of all the console wars, who won and he's there, this versus that, Coke versus Pepsi, all that goes away. And finally, maybe the games can be appreciated for what they are, not what they stand for. Like Forza is an amazing game. Forza Horizon is one of the best racing games in the world.
Here's my thing. I know licensing has always been an issue, but here's my pie in the sky pitch. You start putting Forza Horizon on the console, try and relicense 3 and 4 music, put those out there, put 5 out there. They'll sell like hotcakes. People
they may not make The Last of Us, but they do make excellent games. Grounded is excellent. And they have excellent teams and excellent studios, and I want those studios to survive. That's another part of like this weird pitch that I'm kind of making. If they close Ninja Theory, I'm going to fucking lose it. Like, I'm going to have a stroke. I want Ninja Theory to survive. And if that means wide changes to Game Pass, wide changes to their business, multi-platform, then do it. Like, then do that. And they should have done it before it meant Tango. Like, I don't want to see more Tangos and Ninja Theories go away. Like, save them before it's too late. Because otherwise, the path that we're heading, if they keep doing this for too long, if they string this out for years, what this ends is the same thing it ended with Activision. All roads lead back to we just do Call of Duty. And I don't want to see that happen. Remember when they bought, I don't think we talked about this, Dev, but it was on my threads. I made a post about it. Remember when they bought them, how excited I was? Maybe they'd make Guitar Hero again. We talked about how Call of Duty might have off years.
Yep.
Fucking way off base were we. They're not doing any of that shit. Chalfie was 100% right. Right?
Oh, yeah.
Completely.
Like, here's the thing that I've seen speculated too. People are like, oh, Xbox is going to change Activision. No, Activision is changing Xbox.
It's completely changed everything about Microsoft.
Yep.
And it happened quick.
The only thing that I can say to this is you may need to just change your thinking, Josh. And it's not going to be about what can I get on Xbox that I can't get anywhere else. It needs to be what great can I get from Xbox? Like, how about we get the great stuff from Xbox? And if you still have the Xbox console, you can play it there. But the best case scenario for Xbox, quite honestly, is to build its brand being the place that make the best third party company that puts its games everywhere. And that way you already have a PS5. you also get all of the great stuff that you love on Xbox on all the consoles that you own. You don't lose anything. You actually gain a net positive. All the people that jump ship from Xbox to PlayStation, now all of a sudden, all the Xbox games they love are now on their new console, their new PlayStation. They have all the games there, and now Xbox starts bringing in the revenue that they've been missing because now you have people buying all their games because they're where the people are. Yeah, and then they can start putting more stuff in. Game Pass becomes more viable. Like,
I think the ship has sailed on them becoming the market leader in like platform. I don't think they can do it. I think their hole is too deep. They will never be Nintendo or PlayStation. I just don't think. I honestly don't think it's ever going to happen. They are at best they are multiple console generations away. Like they're decades away from that. But do I think they could be at the top or the best third-party publisher in the video game business? I absolutely
100%, yes.
Like that, they can be that. They can say we're the market leader at this. They can do. They can be that.
Here's the point I would like to ask, Donnie. This is more of a question for you because you've always basically been in the Xbox ecosystem. Dev never really has. If they do this, if they go full third-party, which at this point, let's be honest, I fully expect them to go fully third-party.
So what do you mean by I want to question that because I don't think I actually addressed Daniel's question because I think he's right. I think they're going to string this out. They said they're committed to another console.
No,
I think they are going to release a console. And I think he's right. I think they are going to do timed exclusivity. And the problem with that is I think it's an inevitability. Once they get there, it's inevitable where this ends. It's just a matter of how long you get there. Every time like you're going to lose people little by little to other options, not just PlayStation. Okay. It's not a PlayStation, PC, mobile. Like if you start going multi-platform with your game, Switch, every time you do that, more and more people they'll all just start to slowly siphon off. And what I said back then is if the more consoles you lose, what do you lose? More Game Pass subscribers. Right now, Game Pass is just on the and like there are cascading ramifications. So if it were me as a sign of strength and like leadership, I would want to be out in front of that. Even if it meant I take it now, I would go, look, we tried it this way for 30 years. It didn't work. We're going a different path. And we hope everybody that's liked us along the way, we hope you come with us. And if you don't, we hope to earn you back one day. But this whole, we're going to release a console and we're going to still do this, but we're going to release our games over here eventually. And that's like death by 1,000 paper cuts. You're just slowly killing it. That's all you're doing.
To answer the question you're posing to me, Donnie, I will bring my question up in a second, but I'm going to pivot to yours first. I think by 2028, they're like, all right, we're just going home third party. I think you're right that they're going to drag it out. They shouldn't. They should get ahead of it now. But I think by 2028 at the latest, they're like, okay.
I'm going to hate to see Game Pass like slowly just start to have less releases and less like I can see. I know how it's going to happen. They are going to like bleed it. By the way, speaking of Game Pass, Dev, do you want to play Hellblade? Do you want like a code?
Yeah.
I'll throw you codes. I don't think any of these codes are going to be available by the time I reach the end of mine. I don't think they might even be a thing anymore. So if you want to play Hellblade, I'm happy to gift you Hellblade, buddy.
Sweet.
Okay. So my question for you, Donnie, was when they do this, when they essentially go, fuck it, we're just throwing everything everywhere anytime it releases. Mm-hmm. Do they bring older games that didn't land like they could have when they released exclusive to Xbox over?
I think that ultimately means it depends. I mean, that's the way they answer your question. First, I think there will be their architecture is very similar to at least the PlayStation. Like it's already there on PC, but at least the PlayStation, I think we'll see more of that, right? If there is a plan to bring a first-party Game Pass service to a console, I think that has to be a part of it. They're going to try to get as many things over there as possible, but it is calculated. They're not going to spend a lot of money developing ports of everything. I don't think that's going to happen. But if it's like,
oh no, I'm not expecting
can get it over there. Will they? I think they will.
Old game, right? Like,
I would not expect Fable 2 to show up. I don't think they're going to work on porting Fable 2 to PlayStation 6 or whatever. I don't think that's going to happen. They would push people to the cloud and stuff. But like they're like Halo Infinite and stuff. Yeah, I would think that's probably where this leads. And it's in it right now. I mean, I am operating, and maybe I'm just wrong. I keep bringing that up as maybe they do find that hit and like things change. I don't know, But I'm operating under the impression, like the belief now, that I think most things will start coming over. And that's where I was on that couch, like that couch day when they had that damn thing. That's where I was then. Everything has been like re-encouraging my original take on this. Nothing has stopped me from believing this, deterring me. Remember what I said? What do they think they're going to learn? They're going to learn they sell more fucking games. Like, that's what they're going to learn.
I mean, look at it. Sea of Thieves was what? Number 3 for the whole month?
Top in the PlayStation parts. Like, that's what you're going to learn. So guess what they're going to do? More of that. And it's not that it's not that I want to be like, I was right, you were wrong. But I was shocked that day hearing other Xbox fans talk about how just dismiss this as also, not a thing. Like, oh, this is not news, guys. You even want to talk about it. It's not. Who cares? It's Pentiment. And I was like, this is gigantic news.
The sad thing is, it should be non-news. It should be like, okay, cool, yeah, those games are going over there. It doesn't stop me from getting games here. It should be non-news.
I wanted to piggyback off of what you said to Josh, because I do love it. Sean and I think that's where Sean and I are. Listen, I still love my Xbox. And I still love the controller, and I still love Game Pass. And Gears of War showing up on PlayStation 5 doesn't mean I'm swapping consoles. I'm not. I like my Xbox. I like it exactly as it is. I'm sorry that other people don't. And I get it. Not everybody can buy everything. I get it. I don't need to have an X amount of exclusives to justify a box. I already play on PC anyway. PC is less exclusives than everything. I play most of my games on PC. So like, I like that. I love that answer, that reply, Dev. And it's one that I back up. Josh, if you love your Xbox, keep loving it, man. Like, don't let them bring you down.
Oh, 100%.
Because like your games are still there. And that goes back to the point that I was making earlier in the 360 chat with Barrett. I never played Xbox because it had Fable. I love Fable, but I never played Xbox because it had Fable. I had Xbox because of Madden and Call of Duty and all the other games, and Grand Theft Auto. That's where I played those games. It was my PC. It was where I was playing Doom and shit, right? If anything, the only thing I've ever bought for exclusives was Nintendo. That's the only thing I'm like, well, I have to have it because of the other thing. So to me, it's nice to have exclusives. I get it, and that's the way this business has traditionally been sold. But yeah, I don't think I've ever bought an Xbox, whether it be the One, the 360, or the Xbox, because of the exclusive that it had. Yep. I bought the Xbox because I love that it played music while I played games. I love that I could rip CDs to the hard drive. I love that shit. I could play Vice City with my own soundtrack, you know? And I had a 360 for live, and I liked Xbox Live Arcade and NCAA. And I got an Xbox One after playing the PlayStation for a couple years because the games that I was really into in PlayStation stopped coming out. So I went back to Xbox, you know? It was never about, I can play Gears and you can't. It's like, I fucking love Gears, which is why I was so excited. And still today, I love that Xbox did day and date with PC releases. I think everybody should. So yeah, that's where I am on Xbox these days. That's what I'm thinking. That's what I'm feeling. We'll see how they do it. When they do go third party, I'll tell you this: Phil Spencer won't be there.
I think Phil Spencer stays through the end of the year. I think he's gone by March.
I don't know about that. I'm not going to say all that. You might be right. I'm not saying you're wrong. But I think when they do eventually shift, I don't think he'll be there for it. Because he definitely deserves all. I gave him all the hell I could last week. Mm-hmm. And he deserves it. He's the head. I'm not saying he doesn't. He deserves it. But I don't believe, as long as he's been there, as many things I've heard him say about it, I don't think this is his vision. I don't. And I'm not going to. I think he's kind of like the old guard of Xbox. And I think he wants Xbox to be what it is. But I think that's like that pass is dead. You know, and I would not be shocked if what you're saying is true, Haley. I could see them seeking a change in leadership because
I don't think
where they want Xbox to go and what he thinks Xbox is, those aren't the same things.
So yeah, I do want to point out, like, Phil, all the shit he's been getting, like, he's the head, he made all these decisions. Whether they were decisions made from above Bill, question we'll never know. But he still made the decision. He deserves the ire for them. But based on the fact that the last time something like this happened, you had immediate communication from Phil Spencer and Booty and all of that. This time, the only one who's spoken is Bond.
Yeah, you might be right, but I will push back on that point. I think they know how their most enthusiast fans and the gaming journalism and the whatever we call this. I don't know what to call it ever, right? I call it industry, talking heads, influencers, like the whole gaming chatter sphere.
Yeah.
I think they knew what Closing Tango was going to do to that.
Well, yes, but
there was nothing he could have come out and said that would have appeased that.
No, but my point is that, like, for example, when Bond went up on that Bloomberg thing and just did not have a prepared answer for a question she probably knew she was going to be asked, like, that is not. Do you not have a game plan? What do you?
I'll tell you what what I think the nail might be in the coffin, and this is like me throwing a. This is me throwing a wide curveball here.
Mm-hmm.
I think we get a Steam Deck console. We get a Steam Deck that's a box that you can plug into your TV, and it's Steam Deck. It's the Steam OS. It's all that, and it's a Steam Deck. And I think that's kind of like that's the end. They can't compete with Steam.
No,
they can't compete with Steam on PC. If Steam has a handheld, I don't know if they can compete with the Steam Deck. I think they could, but I'm not even certain about that. But I'm telling you, if Steam released a between Series S and Series X console, that would eat half of whatever console market I think Xbox still has.
Because again, you log into your Steam account, all your Steam purchases are there,
and your Xbox games are there, and they're all there day and date, and like, I don't know if Valve wants to get in that business. They've tried it before. I think they have thread the needle between console and PC. The Steam OS is that, and I was thinking this when I was talking to Sean. I didn't say it on the show, but after the show, I was thinking about it, and I'm just wondering if they release another box. Do we see another Steam machine again, based off the Steam OS, based off of what the groundwork that they've laid with Steam Deck? Do they just give us a box so you can play that same thing on your TV? And like now you have serious questions to why you would buy an Xbox.
So
like, why would you?
I think they'd like to try again. Like
I do too.
The problem they ran into last time was it was basically just like
part of me likes to say the best thing that they could do is I think Sadia might need to go have a chat with Valve and maybe they partner. Right? They don't need to buy Steam or anything like that, but maybe they have a partnership. Maybe they go, hey, we want to bring all of our Xbox games and Game Pass native to Steam Deck. We want to include Steam in our consoles. Like maybe they find some sort of joint partnership. I don't know. We're talking about out of our ass about really big picture ideas.
Yeah.
I still think the next 5 years are very similar to what we've seen. I think Xbox will have a console. I believe they're going to try to do some sort of handheld. I think they're going to try this traditional thing one more again. I just don't think there's any evidence to suggest it's going to work. Barring them having a Zelda or something. Barring them like really fucking having a game that makes the entire industry take notice. Skyrim, maybe, like another, I don't know what that could be. But barring that from happening, I don't think the outcome's going to be any different.
Yeah, the only way they might be able to do something is if this next year, 2025, is like the year of Xbox where everything comes and it hits and it drives subscribers to Game Pass and it drives up console sales. I saw a report that said that they only sold like
on tap are going to do that.
No,
I think they'll get growth if they all hit. If they get Indiana and Avowed is good, and that gets them to Fable and maybe Perfect Dark, like with Blade on there. I think it'll go up, but will it go up enough to like make them a player in the? I don't think so.
Hopefully, they sell more than like 500K Xboxes because that's like
what the other side.
Oh, I saw that report.
Like,
they're looking at.
I hope that's not right.
They're looking at Spider-Man and Switch 2.
Spider-Man. Why do you keep saying Spider-Man?
what was it, Venom or whatever? They have another Spider-Man game next year,
Wolverine.
right?
Okay,
No, I think Wolverine is next year, and Venom may be like a ways out.
Is 2025. Venom is 2026.
Okay,
and then Spider-Man 3 was like 2029.
So yeah, they're gonna do that and the Switch 2, and they're gonna make up ground with Fable.
No.
I love Fable.
I love Fable. I love Fable, like the old style Fable. But yeah,
nobody gives a shit about Fable. And this is completely different. This
isn't
even
line. Go back to their dude bro identity and just Gears and Call of Duty and the stuff that brought.
I'm kind of with
audience.
You. Halo, like, Gears, Doom.
They need their identity back.
Wolfenstein.
They don't have their identity.
It was interesting because there's a part of me that wants them to lower their focus, quit trying to be PlayStation, Nintendo, quit looking globally, just focus on the US market and be that. Because 1000%. The 360 was that.
Exactly. And that's what brought them the base that they had. Console. And when they pivoted, they lost. Like, you're not going to beat Sony and Nintendo at their game.
In Japan, in UK, in Asia.
Be who you are.
So double down on this market, North America, and that's it. We're just doing North America. I'd be like, give up the rest of the world. Just focus on these folks and these games and do that. Because that's what they do. You're 100% right. That's what they do. They have Call of Duty, Gears, Doom, Wolfenstein, Madden, Elder Scrolls. Yeah, like, you remember they used to have EA at their E3 show and shit. And they had ESPN. Like, do that.
Like, you are the American console. Get the Americans on your side with the games you know they love. You went and tried to out Nintendo.
But it's all about like we've got to get Persona and we've got to get Final Fantasy. Yeah. And the games don't sell. It's like you're right. You're just chasing your tail.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It is what it is.
Yeah. It is what it is. Put Skype on that bitch.
Yeah, for real. Shit. Whew. Kyle the Pug. Oh, nobody wanted to fill in for Delvin. Fuck you, Kyle the Pug.
I'm not going to say that. I love Kyle.
I do too. I got to fill in for Delvin when he says it. It's just, it's great.
I got you.
I don't know who we are.
Listen. I love Delvin with all my heart. It's Delvin's bit.
Look at that. I'm not
taking Delvin's bit. Who's Deb?
I don't know who Deb is, but yeah.
You've got D-Life on your side, Deb.
That's crazy. That never happens. But yeah, Kyler Puck says, is 2024 the year of indie games? Also, what has been your favorite indie game so far that you've played this year?
I don't think it's the year of indie games. I don't know what that year would be, but I definitely think we've had more impactful indie games in past years. If anything, I think the year of the indie games was like those formative years when indie games like broke onto the stage. Like the Braid, Station Wars, Castle Crashers, Journey Day, like those were the years of the indie game. Now we just have indie games. That's pretty common these days.
Yeah.
I don't know. What is your guys' favorite?
I haven't played much indie this year.
Yeah, me either. I played Prince of Persia, Helldivers, and Stellar Blade. So I got nothing.
Mine is probably between Geometry Wars Survive, New Star Grand Prix. I love that F1 game. It's just awesome. Or maybe Penny's Big Breakaway, but I need to play more of that. I still haven't finished that game.
Fucking everybody's talking about Balatro. Fuck.
Yeah, that's been a thing for a few months now.
I know. Every time I listen
to Animal Will, the damn gaming industry is fixated on that. Every journalist I know is talking about how fucking great Animal Will is. Not that I hate it. I'm all for it, but I'm not going to play it.
The reason I go, everybody's talking about Balatro is every time I listen to a new episode of Remap Radio, like half the conversation is just about Balatro.
Yeah, Jeff and Mike got really hard on Balatro for a minute.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, no. Drew wants to say he really enjoyed listening to Sweet Hangs last week. He says the Xbox talk was candid and down to earth, which he appreciated, especially last week. He says, based on your conversation, how do you think Xbox moves forward with Game Pass? Think they'll go away from it on the next console? I believe we answered that.
Yeah, we did.
Yeah, I don't think they can go away. If they go away from it, it's done. If they try to pull the plug in Game Pass, that's it. You might as well just close it up. You're just done.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's a lot of people saying that like Call of Duty wouldn't come to Game Pass, or maybe they will go away from day and date. That'll kill their business. That literally,
if they go away at this point, it's too entrenched. You go away, from
just
day
close
and
it
date
up.
Game Pass, it's done.
It's done. Yeah, they're not going to do that.
Stingray says, "What is one feature you would like to put in your favorite game of all time to make it that much better?"
I mean, I want to put gliders in every game. Does that count?
You and your damn gliders.
Hey,
so
gliders
good, Dev.
Gliders are fucking
awesome. I just want to climb to the highest something and jump off of it and glide down. It's my favorite thing.
So this is a tricky one because like some of my favorite games of all time, I don't know that they would need improvement like this, but grappling hook. Give me a fucking grappling hook.
In what game though?
Haley wants to be Batman.
What's your favorite
Donnie
game?
Wants to be
I'm thinking the Just Cause grappling hook that can fucking level buildings, not Batman's grappling hook.
But what's your favorite game you're adding it to?
Fallout.
Red Dead? You want Red Dead Redemption 2 with grappling hook?
No. Give me a grappling hook in Fallout.
Fallout doesn't have a grappling hook?
No.
That seems like a mess. I'm going to say, as boring as this is, and this is my answer specifically for Dev, because I'll make Dev's face, I want real fishing added back to Zelda. Breath of the Wild, put real fishing back in. I want to go sit at a pond, and I want to fish, and I want to catch the biggest fish, and I want a competition, and I want a scale that when I did it, lets me hold my breath, lets me go underwater and walk on the bottom of the pond.
Okay, Far Cry 5 did this, and I hated it.
I want a little rowboat. I love Far Cry 5 for it. Again, favorite games. See, it makes sense. I want real fishing added back to Zelda.
I hate fishing.
You can blow up fish and catch them, but that's not fishing. I want Twilight Princess, Ocarina of Time fishing back in Breath of the Wild.
It's so fun to blow up fish in Valhalla and catch them that way.
Sure. Yeah. Does it really? Man, this fucking game.
It does have.
I gotta get this damn game.
I was just getting ready to say Stellar Blade has fishing, and I fucking hate it.
I'm telling you, I'm an Astrobot away. I might be there. It might be there. You show me the right Astrobot game, I might have to pop because I need to celebrate my veins.
I mean, Stellar Blade's gonna come to PC, so
I know, and they'll probably bring Astrobot to PC too. So
yeah,
I'm being facetious. Here's the thing: I'm not anti-owning another console. I don't have the space, nor do I really have the time to dedicate to another platform. Like, I'm not playing my PC as much as I want to because I don't have time between all the games that I am playing to play them all.
I mean, look, I haven't turned my Xbox on since March. It's just sitting there.
Yeah. I mean, that is a problem. You get that way as you get older. Damn you. As you get older, you just can't, you can't play everything you want. You're younger, you want everything you can't have. You're older, you can't play everything you do have. So.
Yep, this is why I play one game at a time because I ain't got time for nothing else. But to be perfectly honest, that's how I was like younger. I was never in the house. Like I was always out doing other shit. So games were a weekend thing.
Again, colloquially, my mother used to call me a vampire. So
yeah. No, I was out a bunch too. I was always doing sports and stuff. But I mean, when I had games, I always, it was like the magazine stuff. I always had FOMO as a kid. And I was also poor. Like you had games, like I just didn't have. Like I always played games at friends' houses and stuff. I always wanted what I would never had. Right? I always wanted those games. I was always a generation behind. I never had the new thing, the new hotness. I was always kind of not included in that regard. So
yeah, I definitely I'd get a game for Christmas or my birthday, and then every Friday we'll be renting. Go to Blockbuster.
Yeah, I never rented games. I never rented a video game.
See, that's the thing. Like you were scrounging up money to buy stuff. Why didn't you just rent?
It really wasn't a thing by the time I started buying things. I don't think I never really like. I had a Blockbuster, and like when I was in high school, middle school, I would near buy a Blockbuster, and I rented tapes and video, but they didn't have games. There weren't games to rent. Yeah. Now you got to remember, our generations are very different.
If you're renting tapes.
That was
VHS
I wasn't
tapes.
really renting. I wasn't really. I remember videos, so I never really rented VHS tapes. I'm a DVD.
I was renting games in college.
Yeah, so that would be about the same time. Yeah.
So PS1, PS2, like I was
no, not PS1. Games. I'm like GameCube, Wii 360.
Okay, God damn, am I that much older than y'all? Jesus Christ.
we had like the
like I think you're talking like 96, 98. I'm talking like maybe like 03, 04, 05.
Yeah, I'm talking like 90, 92 through probably like
90. I was 4, Dev.
Okay, so like we used to rent games from like Jumbo Video.
What?
Like Jumbo Video.
It's Canada. It's Canadian.
No. Hold on. We did have Blockbuster.
Jumbo Video.
But you decided to go to Jumbo Video instead.
Jumbo Video.
It was cheaper.
Sounds like
to
some shit
stuff.
made up in like a Clark
if you look it up, their mascot
Welcome to
was
Jumbo Video.
Little,
right, that's like some fake shit in a movie.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, if you look it up, their mascot was a pudgy little elephant. Okay,
of course.
It was.
Wow.
Anyways,
Canadian's King was probably all about that Jumbo Video.
I mean, it wasn't a king until like 2 years ago because it was a queen before then.
King, queen, monarch, whatever.
So I had my Super Nintendo, which I got from the pawn shop, which I later traded for a 64, like when the PS2 was all the rage. Yeah. And like around the turn of the millennia, you know, right, like Y2K, I was still playing 64. So 2000, I was on 64. I don't remember when I got my GameCube, but roughly after that, I got my GameCube at some point a few years later. I only had like whatever we could pick up from like usually bargain bins, Comp USA. By the time like GameStop really wasn't like a thing quite yet, I don't believe in my GameCube era. Like it became GameStop became a thing during the GameCube era. And that's when I started like getting into Game Informer and seeing the new stuff. And that's when I was like, man, I want the new thing, but like I can't afford it, right? And then then I got like that. I started having my own money during the 360 and the Wii. There was nobody renting games at that point that I knew, that not around here, not where I was.
Yeah, because we definitely like, I would say a couple of years into PS2, like there were still places like Hollywood Video was definitely still renting games because they had Game Crazy. Because I remember renting like Jack and Daxter and stuff like that.
Oh, I rented like
the other thing was like we had like I always went to Blockbuster. There was a Hollywood Video. I never went there. People at the time, and I may just have this wrong, but like I never rented movies. We just bought movies. Like they were cheap. Like they were like $5. Like, why would you rent it? It was just, you know, they were so cheap.
Where were they? That I mean, it must have been really old movies because we still definitely rented movies because it was a couple of dollars for the weekend.
Like my uncle rented movies because he just liked going back and forth, but like I never did. I was like, how am I going to rent? Like I would just keep it. I just like buy the movie.
Oh yeah, see, we weren't keeping. It's like, all right, yes. What are we watching this weekend?
Like my wife would tell you, when we were in high school, it was a common thing for us. I'd get off my shift at Domino's Friday night and we'd walk over to Blockbuster. We'd buy 2 or 3 movies and like some Sour Patches and popcorn. We'd go and have movie night. That was a frequent weekend for us. But I was never like renting.
I didn't even know you could buy movies. I don't think I ever bought
like
a
$20, $25, buy a couple movies, buy some popcorn.
The only time we ever bought a movie from Blockbuster is when my wife failed to return it.
But I remember people talking about like you could rent an NES and shit. You rent the whole damn system, and I never saw anything like that.
Well,
I would have
stopped
that shit so hard. I would have stole it. I would have been like, I want to rent it, and never shown up ever again.
Well, they make you put down a deposit for almost the price of the console to rent it.
Really? Then why would
you couldn't rent it for like $5. You'd have to put down like $100 to be able to rent it.
Wow.
Yeah. So,
I remember trading in my GameCube and all of my games to get something.
Yeah, I never did the trade
and
stuff.
regretted it.
I never did the trade-ins.
Regretted it later.
Your Canadian history while I looked for that logo.
Actually, sorry, Haley. I traded in all my 64 stuff to get my GameCube.
Okay.
And ended up regretting it years down the road. I was like,
anyways, Jumbo Video, there still exists one location in London, Ontario. Here's my favorite part of looking up, like when they closed, though. Before they closed, they were reverse takeovered by West 49.
I don't know what that is.
What?
It's a skateboarding clothing company.
Okay.
And they bought a video rental store.
Okay, then. All right.
I'm sure
More
there
Canadian facts.
I'm sure also, there probably was video game rentals. I just was never in on it.
I posted the logo for anyone who cares in like the Discord. So
I remember. Did you know that GameStop trial like rentals at one point?
Nope.
It was like a library thing. Like you had like a membership card and you could like check out a game. It wasn't like a rental. Like you could come and check out and like I did that once. I remember that, and then I came back and they were like, "Yeah, we're not doing that no more." It was very short, but like you could. I checked out a game at GameStop once, just for being like a member. It's like $5, and I was checked out a game off the shelf and I had to bring it back.
Didn't
so it was like
was
a rental. But
did you ever rent anything from what was that video service that had the kiosks?
Redbox.
Redbox, yeah.
Yeah, I did. Yeah, we definitely did that. Because that became like a thing for a moment. Did you now that we're being on nostalgia, I had the Netflix disc for Wii.
I didn't have a Wii.
So I never had the Netflix disc. Here's my favorite thing, though. I did multiple times on Xbox One run into an error where it asked me to insert the disc for the Netflix app.
I also had, I forget what it's called, but I remember there was an E3 where there was some company talking about how you could like buy their game and stream all of these games, and it came with a disc and like a controller and like an adapter. And I definitely bought that, thinking it was going to be awesome, and it was terrible.
Like the
it was awful. No. It was like, I think it was for 360. There was like a company that was trying to. It was, I want to say, it was like On Live. Is that
On
something?
Yeah, that's what it is. You're talking about
yeah. Like I remember at E3 watching, and I was like, oh man, I can just play the games over the internet. Oh, this is going to be great. I don't have to buy all these things. And it did not work at all.
Did not work. All kind of licensing issues, internet issues.
But I had the
like
disc and all the things. Like
I remember the first thing for like online gameplay was a thing called X-Band. And you could buy it for Super Nintendo or Sega Genesis. And it was like a cartridge that had a modem in it. And it would allow you to actually play with anybody else who had X-Band online. So you could play a sports game, connect to somebody else, and actually play online.
I remember being excited at the Xbox E3 when they had the ESPN app, and they're like, "You're gonna watch football in your app?" I was like, "Fucking, this is great!" Like I remember, I miss how, I want to say indie, but just how, like, I don't know, inventive, creative, like you'd say risk taking, how fucking just kind of wild consoles used to be. Like today, they're all so buttoned up and corporate, kind of matter of fact. And that's, the industry is like grown, and it's matured. But back then there was just all kinds of shit happening, like fucking On Live and Netflix. Like that shit was crazy at the time.
We were at the cusp of like the internet age.
I know.
We're here. Everything is like, oh, well, everything
you talk
does
about
all that shit.
Redbox, I definitely remember Netflix and like getting the things in the mail.
Getting movies in the mail.
Sending them back. And you talk about rentals, I definitely did the, what's the game service that Netflix did? Or not Netflix, the other one.
Gamefly.
Like, I did that for a little bit. I did do that for a little bit. I remember doing that for like a couple years. But I stopped doing it because I never seemed to get like the new releases. I always got skipped down my priority list of like 6. I'd have like my top 5, and I always get like 6 or 7. So I was like, I just kind of turned it off after a while. But for a while, I did that too.
Yeah.
Never did it.
Good stuff.
Yeah, but it was just like the crazy shit that they were doing. The PlayStation Move and the cameras and the apps and shit. And like, like you could jailbreak shit. And it was novel. It was new. It was kind of
absolutely
cool.
Back when you still had Game Sharks and things. And
all Game Sharks.
Consoles. I remember I had a friend who modded my original PlayStation where I could just burn games. You could just burn any game
for my
Dreamcast.
Yeah. Oh,
Dreamcast.
I loved the Dreamcast.
Right
the Dreamcast was the best. I had a friend of mine that had a computer and the internet and stuff. I didn't, but I would pay him $5, and he would burn me games and CDs and bring them to me from school.
I was that friend.
Were you? I had so many. See, if you've ever heard me talk about how much I love my Dreamcast, for no other reason, that is why. Because I had access to every game I could ever want on Dreamcast. It's like, I love this console.
The best part is it wasn't even my computer or CD burner. It was a friend's, and I was just buying discs burning copies of things and slinging them at school.
Yeah. I would just come. I remember. I think his
Dev,
name is Adam.
the 5-year-old entrepreneur.
Yeah.
Well, I was in high school, so I was.
I'd give him my lunch money
at this point,
and he'd be like, "What do you want?" I would give him track lists. He must have made me like 20 CDs. I must have given this kid like $100 over the school year.
Oh man, I did the same thing when I was a coach. I used to sell CDs to all my players. I used to get everything, download the CDs, download everything, burn CDs, and I would just sling them to my players.
Mm-hmm.
Give you 5 for 20.
That's how I had all of the. And you know the funniest thing, because I wasn't like into, I guess, I don't know what in that pre kind of internet era. How were you keeping up with game news? Was it the magazine? It seems like everybody had the magazines.
Game Pro, EGM.
Yeah.
There was one called Game. I was big on video game magazines. Like, I'm a reader, so I got subscriptions to all of that stuff. And so I would always go to Vons or go to whatever grocery store, and I'm like looking down the aisles looking for the game magazine to find out what's coming.
I would pick up one here and there, but like I never had a subscription. I didn't read them regularly. So like in my GameCube 64 Dreamcast era, I wasn't all that plugged in with what was going on. And the thing that I always like laugh about that is that as I got older and got more plugged into this stuff, the amount of like marquee games that people talk about for these systems that I never even knew. I didn't even ever know what the fuck Shenmue was. Right. People are losing their damn minds about Shenmue, and I'm like, why? Why is this a thing? So many things, even on the Nintendo side, so many GameCube games that I just weren't on my radar. I never saw them on the shelves. I never appealed. I never played them. You know, the Dreamcast was that for me, because the Dreamcast was sports games, shooters, and Resident Evil. I just wanted it back then. I wanted as much Resident Evil as it could give me.
Yeah, Dreamcast for us was
Sonic,
2K and Marvel vs. Capcom.
Yeah, that was another one. But you hear people talk about these RPGs and they talk about Shenmue. I'm like, what were you guys playing? We were not playing the same games.
Yeah. Nah. Yeah. But yeah, that was a good time. The video game magazines, and I remember that's when G4 first started. And I was like, man, where's G4 at? And you had to have like DirecTV. So anybody had DirecTV, G4 was on there, and being able to see video games on a TV show versus in a magazine was fucking mind blowing at the time.
And I never got to G4 until like maybe like 2010. So like for me, like that last part of high school, like right as we started to get like internet on mobile phones, like I started finding websites. And that's where I started to plug in.
You were in high school at that point?
I graduated 2006.
Oh my God. I am old as shit.
So like I had my T-Mobile sidekick looking at games on like IGN or GameStop or something like that.
I was 9 years old in 2006.
Oh my God. In 2006, I was like done with college. That was like, you would have been year 6 of college for me. Yeah.
Because like that's like squarely in my Wii era. That's when I'm chasing down like Suda51 made a Fatal Frame game? No fucking way. And I'm on message boards being like, it's going to come over next year. I promise, guys. Like, you know, like that's where it wasn't that long in between that and like Married to the Games. There's like a direct correlation, a couple years. And that was like my plugged in. All the time before that, I wasn't plugged into anything that was happening like across the industry. If it didn't have E3, I didn't know what the fuck it was.
Sorry, Deb. I was 11, not 9.
Either way, I'm still just so old. He's talking about his T-Mobile sidekick in 2006. I'm like, dude, I was like working. I
missed the shit out of that phone. I'll let you have that's the
I was
greatest
married by then.
Oh wow, Dev. Wow.
Yeah, I was married. I got married in 2004.
I wasn't married that too long after that. Remember, we got pregnant in high school, so I wasn't too far behind.
Yeah.
You were just married at a much older age than me. We were kids.
I got married at 23.
Yeah, we were children.
Yeah. Wow. All right, well, that's going to do it for this episode of the Play Some Video Games podcast. Hope you guys enjoyed your time with us. Hope we answered all of your lingering Xbox questions, because, boy, they're in a place. So, until next time, that's Donnie, that's Haley. I'm Datin into Dev, and play some goddamn video games.
like Creed Shadows.
Nobody's sleeping in the middle of the bed. The middle of the bed is only where you do the business. But when everybody's ready to sleep, it's the side of the bed that can't be beat. It's the middle of the bed where lovers meet. But when it comes time to slumber, it's the edges. Ooh, 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 the edges.